thanks for joining. Today we're going to be taking a look at our top picks for the best shift scheduling software specifically for restaurants. Now, when it comes to creating shift schedules, this can be one of the most time-consuming tasks for managers and people within the hospitality industry. Now, the tools that we're going to be covering today do cover some of these same functionalities. However, we do want to mention that there are differentiating factors to look out for, and some of these may or may not be important for your business. So do keep that in mind when looking for a tool like this. Now, it is essential to have a tool that fits the right needs for your business. And some of the tools that we're going to be looking at today are Sling, 7Shifts, Connecteam, Homebase, and Deputy. Now, although these tools do all create schedules really well, there are additional things I look for in a tool like this. Now, overall ease of use is always on my number one list. If you've ever seen any of our videos, you will know tool ease of use is the most important thing when it comes to using a tool like this, specifically for the restaurant industry. You do not want to have a steep learning curve and have to upskill employees 4 hours on a tool. You want to be able to just be able to use it really easily. And that brings me to my second point, which is having a really solid mobile app. I do recommend having a tool that is really great and is able to function from anywhere so that your employees can access this on the go, especially important in the restaurant industry. Now, another factor I would look for is multi-location ability. So although you may be a small business, you may look at expanding in the future, and you do want to have a tool that is able to support multiple locations. Now, you may think that this would come with all the tools typically recommended for this kind of thing. However, that is not the case. So do look out for tools that do have and do support this if you are a scaling business. Another item I do look for is time off and attendance tracking, super important, as well as the ability to integrate with additional tools. Now, if you've got additional needs, such as payroll, for example, you do want to have a tool that's either able to do this for you within the same tool, or one that is able to integrate with additional tools so that you can use these later down the line. I also look for shift swapping functionality. So this is quite important when you are creating a schedule, that not only the employees can accept shifts, but are able to swap them if something comes up last minute. Now, another one is really important for me is automated notifications. So should there be any communications that pop up that are really important, such as changes in shifts or schedules at last minute, you do want to be able to be notified of these as soon as possible. Now, we're going to be taking a quick look at our favorite tools, starting with Sling. Now, Sling is one of the, I'm going to say, most lightweight and simple tools to look out for. And they're a really great pick for restaurants that need something that is super easy to use, super lightweight, something that isn't going to take you hours of upskilling in terms of the tool. It's really intuitive. One of the things I do like is they've actually got a free tier, so that's really helpful and something that I do look out for, especially if you're not used to a tool like this, or if perhaps you're new to this kind of thing where you've now used Excel or perhaps manual schedules in the past, and you do want to just switch over to a tool like this. I do recommend looking at something super simple, especially if you are a small business. Overall, really easy to use. They do have a great employee scheduling feature, so do keep it in mind. Once the employee schedules are published, you are sent notifications, which is great. And for me, something like this is super important, that it is really easy to reuse a lot of templates, so they do have that functionality. I do like that. And I do like drag and drops schedule. So you don't want to be spending a lot of time trying to use finicky systems, especially when it comes to schedule creation. It's really time consuming. So I do like that. I also like that they do have timesheets and time clocking. So that's something that you can manage from within the app. And yeah, as mentioned, able to integrate with a lot of other software as well. So overall, really easy to use, super lightweight. And I do want to keep in mind that although it is really lightweight, you do have additional things like chats within the tool. So it is something that is user-friendly. You can go and also create custom news feeds, which is a really nice feature within the app. So if you'd like to send out a restaurant-wide communication, you are able to do that with Sling, and you are able to do additional items within the tool itself, such as labor cost management. Overall, really great, easy to use. I do want to mention that this is limited to specific countries only. So if you are in an outlying country outside of the US, I would recommend just checking that out before you go and sign up with Sling, because they don't support a lot of countries. They are kind of ring-fenced to specific ones. And also another feature that is something that they could probably work on in the future is advanced analytics. So although you've got basic reporting in place, it is quite simple. So if you do need additional advanced analytics, probably not the right fit for you. However, really great, easy to use. They do, as mentioned, have a free tier, and they do have paid for tiers. So keep that in mind if you are looking at that. They do have premium and business plans, and these are per user per month, with an option to save a bit if you are billed annually. Overall, have a good look at them. Great tool to keep in mind if you are looking for something super lightweight and super simple. Now, the next one on the list here is 7Shift. This is quite a popular one. I've seen recommended quite a bit, especially in different forums, and they are specifically built for the restaurant industry. So I do want to keep that in mind, that although there's lots of scheduling software out there, 7Shifts is specifically built for the restaurant industry. So they have thought about the way that the industry works itself. So if you are perhaps a bakery, a bar, a cafe, a pizzeria, they've got a lot of options here, and they will give you some specific examples. So if we have a look at bars and breweries, for example, you'll see that they are built specifically with that in mind. So they have thought about a lot of the functionality within it. Quick and easy to sign up. You can use drag and drop. So just to create the schedule itself is really, really quick. As mentioned, able to publish really quickly, and you do get notifications sent to your employees immediately, which is really great. Now, another one that they have really thought of is the labor cost management and compliance piece of that. So do keep in mind that they've got that built into the tool, and you will be able to manage that from within the app itself. So overall, really great, really easy to get started with them. As mentioned, they've got this in terms of labor cost management. So if that is something that is important to you, really great value add, especially if you're looking at maintaining compliance within your organization. They do warn you if you have overscheduled shifts as they happen, so that you can avoid that ahead of time, which is really great. So overall, really great tool to have a look at. They do have additional functions like paid time off, sick time, scheduling, that kind of thing. Now, I do want to mention that it can be quite costly for smaller businesses. So if you are quite a cost conscious business, they probably are on the pricier side compared to some of the other tools that we'll look at today. However, they do have a free plan available, limited to 50 employees and limited to a single location only. So have a look at this if you are a single location with less than 15 employees. But if you are a scaling business, that can be quite costly quite quickly. I do also want to mention that I have seen some complaints around the platform consistency in terms of uptime. And I feel like that if that's something that's not ironed up, can be catastrophic for schedules if you're not able to access that. So overall, really great tool, really good recommendations on 7Shifts overall, because it's specifically built for the restaurant industry. Now, the next one on our list is Connecteam. I've seen this one quite a bit. However, this is kind of like an all-in-one scheduling app that does a lot of additional functions. So if you are a bigger business that has perhaps needs outside of just restaurant specific features, they're probably one of the better apps to have a look at. Now, they do things like task management, they do things like operations and HR. So a lot of things outside of just time tracking and just employee scheduling. So you can have a quick look here in terms of time tracking items itself, as well as daily operations, internal comms, which is quite nice. So you've got instant messaging between the organization as well. And they do have training and knowledge built into the app, which is really cool. However, this can be overkill if you're quite a small restaurant and you don't need all of the additional HR management and training and upskilling um, and kind of management within the tool itself. Now, if we take a quick peek at just the employee scheduling side of things, a really nice, clean user interface, which I always like. And you can get things set up quite quickly with auto scheduling. So they have built in things like AI to handle a lot of the scheduling, heavy lifting itself, which is great in terms of that. And I do like that they can auto schedule shifts for you, matching specifically to employee availability and that kind of thing. Um, Overall, really great, really well recommended tool. And I do like that it is quite an intuitive tool compared to some of the others that I have had a look at. Now, one of the downsides is that you are not able to use the tool offline, so you will need a stable internet connection to keep it up and running. And then also, if you are a small business, it can be a bit of an overwhelming tool that does require some upskilling. So do keep that in mind if you are a smaller business. Now, speaking of smaller businesses, they do have a free plan and it's free for life, which is really cool. It is limited to up to 10 users, so do keep that in mind. However, they do have paid for plans as well, ranging from $29 to about $99 per month. And keep in mind that is for the first 30 users. So do always read the fine print because some of the pricing can be quite different depending on your organization size. Now, the next tool that we're going to have a look at is Homebase. This is probably one of the really, really strong tools in terms of hourly workers that I've seen. They do this really well. They've built this specifically with a lot of really cool features in mind, specifically for the hospitality, retail, um, restaurant industries. So I do recommend having a look at this. They've also got a lot of AI features within the tool itself. Now they've really packed in a lot of punch in terms of building your schedules, helping you onboard, and even do things like payroll, which is really cool. And that's one of the most tedious roles that I've seen. Having to try and manage an integration with payroll can be a nightmare. I do like that they've gone and built this into the tool itself. So a lot of features within this specifically, and we're going to take a quick look at the AI assistance with the scheduling itself. So what they'll do is they'll actually create schedules based on your employee availability and work history. It does keep in mind things like experience and time off to ensure that your schedules are created fairly, which I really like. You can instantly publish. The notifications are sent right to the app. I've used the app myself actually, and it's really solid, really great, really intuitive. And they've also built in things like automatic reminders of things like upcoming shifts. If your employees are running late and you are not aware of this, you will actually get sent a notification from the app itself, which is really great. So I do like that they've built in a lot of the admin kind of heavy things straight into the app that you don't have to go and manage this manually itself. Um, Now, you do have things like labor cost management and additional features within the tool, which I really like. I would recommend having a look at this. They do have a lot of features, including things like time clocking, payroll, and it does a lot of the automation for you, specifically within the wage calculation part of things, which is quite nice that this is already built into the tool so that you don't have to go and manually run the wage calculations, pull it into payroll, and if you've got some areas it can be a bit of a nightmare, this is all done within the tool. So really great option to have a look at if you need things integrated like this, and they will help you keep on track in terms of the payroll compliances and that kind of thing as part of the features within the tool itself. Now, in terms of some of the concerns that I've had specifically within the tool is that although you've got time clocking and you can geofence where your employees clock in from, I think some employees might feel a little bit hesitant about having that tracked on their phone. However, this is really great if you have multi-location, so do keep that in mind. And again, if you're needing something that kind of covers a bit of everything, You may want to look at another tool if you need things like advanced benefits management, that kind of thing. But overall, packs a lot of punch within the tool itself. And in terms of the pricing, really, really great. So they do have a free plan as well for up to 10 employees for one location. And then really reasonable pricing based on their monthly plans and annual plans that do have a 20% discount offered per month, which is really great. So ranging from about $24 to about $96 per month. Really, really great tool to have a look at. Now, the last on the list is Deputy. I've seen this one come up quite a bit, especially for businesses that are focused on compliance. Now, they do a lot in terms of the way that the scheduling works. However, this does keep in mind things like compliance around regulation. So if you over allocated shifts, if you are looking to stay compliant with schedule management itself, they do help you create schedules, having a look at things like open shifts, quickly fill these and populate that for you. So it does save a lot of time in terms of AI features, which is great. And then, as mentioned, if you are specifically focused on things like federal and state and law regulations around labor, they do help you manage that quite extensively from within the tool itself. They do cover things like AI labor forecasting, compliance, working in things like meal and rest breaks within the tool. So if this is something that's important for you, I would recommend that you'd have a look at this tool specifically because of the advanced features within the compliance and labor law regulation space. Overall, really great tool, really easy to use. I do want to mention that they do have a lot of AI features within the tool itself, as mentioned earlier, auto scheduling, and able to just manage quite a lot of features within the tool. Now, in terms of the pricing itself, there's no free plan available like the other tools, but they do have a light plan, a core plan, and pro plan, ranging from about $5 per user per month up to about $9 per user per month. And they do have, of course, an annual discount offered for annual billing. Now, overall, all these tools are great. I recommend having a quick look at any of these if they are something that you are currently looking at. However, do keep in mind the features that are most important for you. So I would say if you're a multi-location or scaling business, I probably look at something like 7 Shifts or perhaps Connecteam. If you are a smaller independent restaurant, I probably recommend looking at a Sling or possibly Homebase, especially if you're needing things like integrated payroll that does a lot of these features for you. And specifically on the compliance side of things, I would look at Deputy if that is something that is really important for your business. Thanks for joining today. I hope that helps you narrow down your next schedule management tool.